in my case, psoriasis, arthritis, depression, suicidal thoughts, chronic pain. Every one of those issues was, most of them were lifelong, most of them were almost lifelong. Every one of them affected me on a daily basis in a really bad way. And every one of those issues are gone now. And the reason they're gone is because I just eat meat.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for coming by for another episode of the podcast. And we have a wonderful carnivore story for you today. We've had all kinds of different illnesses we've sort of walked around over the course of the episodes. We've had a couple about mental health. We've had some digestive issues that were healed. We've had just all over the spectrum of different things that people have fixed by removing plants from their diet and doing this crazy carnivore thing that it just seems like more and more people are saying it's fixing everything. And the status quo establishment is throwing all the headlines they can, but we just keep having real human beings come out to tell their story. And we have a really good one for you today from Lash. So Lash, thank you so much for joining me, sir.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Excellent. Well, as I told you before recording, we like stories here. I know you've been telling your story all over the place. I heard you on the Homestead House channel. You were on Sean Baker recently, probably others I didn't even catch. So I would just love to hear your story from where it started, in the early days when you started having health issues with your skin and mentally as well, and how that story develops and what ended up being the solution.
Alrighty, let's go. So I haven't really told much about the part of my life that I believe had some effect on it now as I'm learning more, which is trauma. So at a very early age, I dealt with a lot of trauma, all the way up until my teens. Then I got messed up on drugs when I was 16. Got clean at 17 on my own. Went off to college, came back from college and noticed some issues with my skin. Elbows, had some dry patches, and a couple other spots. So went to a doctor and they diagnosed me with psoriasis and possible psoriatic arthritis because of the joint pain that I told him I'd been having in my wrists and my back. So yeah, from there I was put on steroid creams, and nothing got better. Everything got worse. Year after year, more spots would show up. I would get different creams. They would burn. They would thin my skin out. It would just make everything worse. It was, not good. Then I went a long period of time without health insurance, because it's America and it's tough here. But yeah, so from there, I got some health insurance a few years back, and my skin was like really bad, and I had been just going through hell. Basically, every day I just rip my body apart, from the itch. And then at night, I'd be up all night in pain, spasming, kicking my legs, just flared up, uncomfortable, never get any sleep, and then have to go to work and function the next day. So I started going to the doctor again. They wanted to put me on more creams. I told them no. So I said, let's try light therapy again, because that kind of helped one time. Went back into light therapy, radiation, UVB, whatever, and that didn't help at all. Everything kept getting worse and worse and worse. It got to the point where I was done. I had suffered long enough. And I went back to the doctor one last time, and I said, there's got to be something. He said, I can give you these 2 injections in your stomach for the rest of your life, every couple weeks. And I said, yeah, so what's the side effects? he starts going through some of the side effects, and it's crazy side effects. Suicidal side effects, depression side effects, which I already had throughout my whole life. Suicidal thoughts and depression, along with all the pain, the itching, and just being covered in spots. So yeah, at that point, I told the doctor, I said, if you do that to me, you're going to kill me. And I said, I don't want you to kill me. I said, you're a doctor, and I don't want that on your shoulders. I said, I'm going to go home and do it myself. Have a nice day. And I left with the serious intention to end my life that day. Was on my phone when I got home, and I found Mikhaila Peterson's story at one of her talks. She started talking about how she cured all these issues. I'm like, wait a second, I got half of that issues. Like, maybe I don't want to die today, so I'll give this a shot, because I tried everything else that I was willing to try as far as diets and their drugs. So yeah, I started weaning off of everything I could, and through a long process over the last almost 2 years now, I've pretty much completely healed. Let's see, psoriatic arthritis, depression, suicidal thoughts, chronic pain, chronic itch, chronic bleeding, all gone. That's the quick story.
And you'd say that's purely from the lion diet, because that's Mikhaila Peterson's thing, which is purely beef, salt, and water. It's the king peak of the carnivore umbrella, essentially. Is that what you did?
Well, I started off kind of the Paul Saladino route with meat.
I think most of us did.
and dairy still.
Yeah.
Then I cut out the fruit and started getting even better. Then last November, Thanksgiving, I kind of went on a downward spiral for the entire holiday season. Basically relapsed into sugar and all kinds of fun stuff, pies, and I got really sick. All my spots came back. Everything got bad again. And so I woke up at the end of the year and realized what I had to do, and that was go strict lion. So yeah, since January 1st of this year, it's been strict lion, and I'm left with some scars and the tiniest little spot here and there, but when I tell you, you've seen my pictures.
Yeah, I'll make sure to put them up on screen for the people watching, because they are incredible.
Yeah. And
it
I wouldn't
really looks like a different person
like this either, because my whole, from here all the way, my whole entire scalp was covered in thick, nasty psoriasis. So yeah,
it's basically acne on steroids from hell, which is all that I know. It's just much more severe. What does it feel like having that everywhere on your body? Give me a snapshot of how it actually feels in the moment. The
best way to describe it is somebody, first of all, puts you in a clay mold, right? So everything is tight. And then they throw you behind a pickup truck and they drag you along a dirt and gravel road, right? Then they beat you up. And then they pour stuff on you to make you itch more. Yeah, hell. People don't realize how bad people are suffering from this, and the only thing that they're getting is drugs. Nobody's saying that there's a way out. There's just nobody saying that, and I found a way out, and I've been praying for 30 years every single night. Yeah, dude, life was hell, man, and I couldn't stop. I couldn't give up. And I tried every damn thing, every diet, I went on juice cleanses for months at a time, with no treats, no nothing during those periods. I read all the books on the psoriasis cure, what you should eat, blah blah. Nothing, none of this worked. Yeah, until I found Michaela. She's an angel. Yeah, she's amazing. She saved my life. Like, it's hard still to talk about this. This is only the third podcast I've done, but I get crazy emotional because I want to help people, and I'm tired of seeing people suffer, and they don't have to. So,
Absolutely, man.
Pardon my emotion.
Have you and Michaela had any connection online yet?
We have.
Awesome.
She reached out to me, and we are in talks for me to go out to see her, and yeah, we're going to do a podcast of some sort, and I'll be able to thank her in person. Yeah. Man.
That is so amazing because she had such a similar story to you. You two really had a very similar path.
Yeah, her life was miserable. She had joint replacement surgeries. Like, thank God I didn't have to go through that. But I just wish I didn't have to go through 30 years of that, because it set me back in life so much. Even though I've succeeded in so many different ways and never gave up, but I feel like I'd be way farther ahead.
Yeah, and this is, I feel like all of us that find a carnivore diet, or the lion diet like you did, we all have to come to terms with this fact that we lost some years or decades from this. Like, a lot, and there's a spectrum, right? Like, a lot, I have people on here who are in their 40s, 50s, 60s, even 70s, and they laugh at me when I say, like, oh, I wish I had this 10 years ago, because I'm 29 right now, and they're all saying, I wish I found it at 29. So
yeah.
It doesn't matter where you are, you wish you found it earlier. That's just human nature.
Yep.
And we all just have to accept that we lost a little bit of time, and now we have all this new energy and vitality. What are we going to do with it?
Exactly.
To make the rest of our time as fantastic as possible and help other people figure it out earlier and get there earlier, and bring that average age earlier and earlier until it's just people live their whole life healthy again. That's right. Really what it is for me, because I actually looked at my viewership stats on YouTube recently, and 90% of my viewers are over 45, which I thought was fascinating. And that's mainly because I'm just pumping out carnivore content, and that's pretty consistent with the carnivore average age, because most of the people right now, we're still at that very early end of the bell curve, where the only people finding it are the people who are in a state of desperation and really, looking for anything and trying anything, even this crazy, insane meat diet that turns out to be the answer every time.
Right. So if you can catch them before the desperation, right?
Yeah. I'm like the super anomaly black sheep who didn't have any desperation. I'm just super curious about everything, and I found it through the Bitcoin rabbit hole. For me, Bitcoin was the thing that really dragged me through the realization process of everything is a lie. Just start from scratch on literally everything you've ever heard, because it's all bullshit. And a lot of Bitcoiners, for that reason, become carnivores, because they go through the food and diet rabbit hole next. Yeah. And so those two communities have such an overlap. I'm not sure. Are you into Bitcoin at all? I can't remember.
I've dabbled in the cryptoverse to the point where I lost my ass a couple years back, and
I heard the bad C word. That's probably the problem.
I lost my ass. I lost my ass in a bunch of different things, but I have some things still set aside. Yeah, I do have some Bitcoin, but not much, unfortunately. Not as much as I would.
Well, if you keep spending time on Nostr, we're gonna get you back up to speed, my friend. And that's something we mentioned before recording, is that Nostr is this thing that I've had a couple people on to talk about. I think that this is such a huge it's going to be so beneficial for the carnivore community at large, because Oh, this is actually a good tie-in, because one of the parts on your story I heard when you were talking with Sean Baker was how, and maybe you can give a little more color on this before we continue, but how right after you figured out how to heal and you've practically fixed your issue in a matter of, what is it, weeks or months? It was quick, right?
Months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you go online like any good person to go share your story with people in these online groups. And what happened when you did that, Lash?
So yeah, I went back into all the Facebook communities for psoriasis and psoriatic arthritis, and a lot of them claim on their page that they're there for natural cures, other ways than prescription drugs and this and that. I tried and I asked, may I post this story? May I post my healing story? No responses, no responses. So I started posting it in comments, and holy crap, I got deleted from every single page, every single one. People were actually being really mean to me. Even in the National Psoriasis Foundation pages, people just ripping into me, like, why should I believe some crazy guy on the internet? I'm like, wait, what? I give you an entire hour of my story with pictures and live video of me and my skin and all the changes, and yet you won't take that time to just do a 1 hour of research that could change your life forever. And so I definitely left all of those communities, and that's when I went and started a new Instagram, and Carnivore Healing Ranch was created, which is where I'm focusing all my energy, and soon we'll have my GoFundMe up to hopefully raise enough money to get a place for people to come.
We'll definitely get deep into that later, because that's,
Yeah.
I think, the main takeaway I want to send people. But I have had the exact same experience with all of these groups. And the way that I've approached it was, I've had all these podcast episodes come out of people healing these different things with carnivore diet.
Mm-hmm.
I go into those communities, the ones that of the things that person had healed, and I write a detailed title, say, this person has completely reversed this condition. Here's how. I usually don't even put carnivore in there, because I know by now that they're just going to straight up delete it if it has that in there, because they just think it sounds crazy. It doesn't matter how many. I've been trying this for months to find ways to just weasel this information into those groups on Facebook and Reddit mainly. And I am banned from dozens of just bizarre illness subreddits now.
Of course.
Because they all just ban you and say, you can't cure this.
Right.
Or, or the moderators or are vegan. And if some of them even have, like a banner or post all over the place about how people need to be eating like plant diets or go vegan to fix this thing. And they're wondering why no one in there is getting any better. That's why. And you're a perfect example of that. So what was you said that you did juice cleansing. You pretty much did vegetarian for much of your life trying to fix this, right? And it didn't do anything or made it worse. Could you explain maybe how the plant-based diet like affected your issue?
Yeah. So even when I went on full 2-3 months juice cleanses, where it was just green juice, and I'm talking kale and spinach and all kinds of crap, I would get worse, and I'd be more bloated, and I'd be in more pain, and I just wouldn't. It just never made any sense. And I'm like, I would exercise and nothing would happen, and I never had energy, and I just didn't understand why, if you're putting all this great stuff in you, nothing is happening. Everything's, nothing's getting better. Things are actually getting worse. But yeah, I mean, and then I would eat like my normal diet if I wasn't doing like juice cleanses would be like just salads. And then I would eat sugary shit at night a lot, when I was going through more pain, and depression would lead me to more sugary crap, to help, offset what's going on in my head. so yeah, I used that type of food as a drug. And so getting off of sugar at the point where I stopped everything was hard because I had gotten really addicted to like sweets at night at that point in my life. So yeah, but nothing, none of the just eating right or eating healthy. Like I never ate fast food. I really thought I was doing good, you know, except for the junk food at night. And I know a lot of people say, "Oh yeah, but junk food at night." But no, I did many times without any junk food, with just greens and shit, and ended up in the hospital twice for kidney stones from all the spinach and shit. So yeah, never helped.
Yeah, and I would say people vastly, overemphasize the difference between a salad and a freaking candy bar, because as we learn from diving into the science of this stuff, sure, the candy bar is going to have a few more like obviously harmful chemicals in it, but the majority of it just breaks down into sugar in your body.
Yeah.
And the plant breaks down into the same sugar. Every
Right.
single carbohydrate, every single plant, the second it goes past your mouth and into your digestive system, it just turns into sugar.
Right. Plus,
So
it has
they're
all
really
the
not
other
that different.
chemicals with it, the defense chemicals. So
Yeah.
it didn't do me well, and apparently my gut health was in seriously bad shape, and it was screaming to me with this issues, and that was the thing that was trying to tell me what was going on inside. And the fact that no doctors would tell you this, that shit got me angrier than angry. So yeah, now I'm gonna fight them against them.
Yeah, because you didn't have a good experience with the doctors, right? I mean,
Never had good experience with doctors. Not once. Not once. Every time I left doctors, I would leave feeling worse and more depressed, and I didn't want to be on drugs. Like I didn't want to be on drugs the rest of my life. Like my mom has like 4 types of arthritis, right? Also MS, all kinds of issues. She had been on drugs for 50 years, and she's now carnivore off all of her meds, living in Costa Rica, and she's doing amazing. And it's
so
just
you
so
pulled
awesome.
her in, I'm assuming. You dragged her down the rabbit hole?
We both started our journey at the same
cool.
sort of time in different ways. Like she started with fasting, I believe. And so when I started my journey, I started with fasting, and then taking out, starting to take out one thing, everything at a time. But yeah.
And I love using fasting as a starting point for some people, because it sounds a little bit less crazy to people than the carnivore diet. And
Right.
It's really easy to sort of pull people through the steps from there, because like the first thing that I do is ask people who are, struggling with some issue, have you ever tried fasting? Or even if they're not struggling with an issue, just say like, have you ever tried like just fasting for 3 days? And I'm surprised how many people actually have just read something about it on the internet or been curious about it and tried it. And I asked them, how'd you feel when you did that? And they say, I felt amazing. My focus was super great. I, had lots of energy, and they feel super clear-headed. And then all I need to tell them from there is, yeah, you can feel like that all the time. That's called ketosis, and just walk them through the fact that they're just being fueled by fat during that time, because the carbohydrates get burned out really quick and you shift into fat burning mode.
Yeah.
And just explain to them how you can be on that all of the time if you just stop eating the carbs and go on a carnivore diet. And by the way, when you're on carnivore, it's like super easy to do fasting every day, intermittent fasting. I'm sure you'd agree with me. I can easily go 24 hours without eating. My hunger signals are so much weaker.
A 48-hour. I was going to do a 3-day, but then I realized I had a big old steak I wanted to eat, so I did it. I did a 2-day. But yeah, I usually go 20 hours, and sometimes I'll add in meat chips during the day if I happen to make them. those are my favorite go-to lunch. I want to start my own meat chip company because everyone who gets
that'd be cool.
one, it's just like, dude, I need to order these from you. How do I get these? Make them for me. I'm like, bro, I have a little like 5-rack dehydrator, bro. Like, I can't make you meat chips right now. But yeah, I wanna. There's so many things I want to do. Yeah,
I love it, man. Yeah, and this is why I'm so excited about what you're building. And I still want to hold it on the back burner. This is going to be the finale, but it's going to be awesome. You have so many great ideas to share, and I'm just going to keep sprinkling it in. People are going to figure it out later. This is going to be awesome. I'm stoked for you.
things are
Another thing that I wanted to highlight was we sort of talked about how that sugar that you were having was definitely addicting, and it was difficult to get rid of.
Yes.
And one of the quotes that I pulled from one of your previous interviews, and as you alluded to earlier, you had other drug addictions earlier in your life as well. You said cocaine was easier to quit than sugar.
Absolutely. And like when I tell you I got hooked, and I don't even think anybody knew how bad I was at all at the time. But I was in my room one night and I basically was dying. I thought my heart was exploding. I saw my whole life flash before my eyes. So I literally was dying, right? And at that moment, I got in touch with God for the first time for real in my life. And we came to terms and had an agreement that I was going to go on. And I didn't die that night. I never touched crack or cocaine again. Wasn't like, and when I tell you how bad I was, like, that's all I thought about all the time for like, I don't know, almost a year probably. And it consumed every thought. Like, when's the next bump? When's the next line? When's the next, gotta get more, gotta figure this out. But yeah, and that was gone. So that was the first time I was saved. And, the second time I was saved was 18 months ago by Michaela, and what happened there. But yeah, like for sugar, when I started removing it, I got sick. I went through definitely withdrawals, and cravings and like freak out moments and yeah, and then when I had a piece of pie at Thanksgiving last year, man, it just set me off, and I had more and more, and then it's Christmas coming, and I was already going through depression and a breakup and all kinds of stuff, and I was just alone and miserable, and so I started fixing all that with sugar again, and then so I had to quit a second time sugar. Many times. I don't know how many times I quit sugar in my life, but yeah, again, and yeah, so I've been sugar free since January 1st. But that's awesome. It's an awful drug. It really is. It is.
And one of the things that Ken Berry always posts about, and I'm completely with him on it, is that sugar is by far the most damaging drug on earth, far more than cocaine, heroin, meth, any of those, classic damaging drugs, because sugar is so insidious in that it glycates your cells and is actually damaging you on a mitochondrial level very slowly and gradually over time.
Yeah.
So you're not going to, eat a mango and feel like you're going to die, like when you do too much.
You're going to overdose on the mango.
Yeah, but I mean, maybe you could. I'm not going to try it, but it's damaging you on such a small level that people don't figure out until much later that they're having issues.
Right.
Or sometimes people never figure it out, and they just live their entire life at a lower level than they could. And this is why I so want people to just try carnivore strictly for 90 days, or especially the Lion diet like you did, just a high fat beef, salt, and water. because then you will find out when you start adding these things in, you will notice the difference finally, because your body will be cleansed of it, of the toxins. And I'm always experimenting. I started my carnivore almost exactly 1 year ago. It was last September, and it's August now. And I'm still experimenting. Like I just got back home to Washington after a long trip in Colombia, and we have raw milk here. So I've been having some swigs of raw milk here and there just to see how it goes.
Yeah.
And I know you mentioned in your story that milk is an absolute no-go for you, right?
Oh, the dairy. You know, it's such a love-hate. I tried to do like the raw dairy, and it still affects me. Like I'll notice if I try it like the next day, like I'll notice certain things like right away flaring, and it just sucks because I'm sure I was addicted to dairy as well, which I believe dairy can definitely be addicting, for sure. I ate, like, that was one of the things I ate a lot of was cheese, back. Like, I always had cheese on my salad, or, you know, cheese after cheese and crackers. Like, but yeah, I miss dairy more than anything. Is the one thing I miss, and I hope that one day I try it and it doesn't inflame me. But for now, yeah.
Yeah, for autoimmune stuff, it just seems like dairy is often a culprit. And
yeah, and I guess it's like everybody's so different, and I don't know if we have these you know, I don't know what it is. If we have something in our DNA that we're predisposed to, we can't eat certain, but who knows what it is. I know people that have lived on raw vegetables and fruit for the last 40 years and look amazing and are doing great, but I couldn't do it. And so, I just think that, people with my condition for sure need to be eating the way I'm eating. Like, I know that for a fact. And that's, that much I do know.
Yeah, I really think it's just a spectrum of bio-individual tolerance. But I really want to underline the word that it's a difference in tolerance. It's not to say that, vegetables are good for this person and bad for that person. I think that people really overuse the word bio-individuality for like what food we should be eating.
Mm-hmm.
They underrate how much certain people are different on a tolerance scale, if that makes sense.
Right.
Right. I definitely know people who, they're extremely rare, but there are people out there who eat a lot of plants and they're doing pretty well. I hardly know any of them, but they are out there, and because they're doing decently well, cool, bro. Like, I think this diet's, you're going to feel even better on this, but they just don't have enough reason to switch. Most people I know that are on plant-based, they just deteriorate over time, and the problem just start, the red flags start popping up across the body eventually. But it's a tolerance issue. It doesn't mean that plants are good for that person. It just means that they have more, and I would consider myself relatively on the high end of that, just genetic luck, where I ate very much a standard mixed diet my whole life, where I would have lots of fruits, lots of vegetables, lots of grains, and some meat, just a mix of everything.
Yeah.
And a lot of people that do that, they have a lot of problems that they later find out is diet related. I didn't really have that issue. I had tons of salad and spinach every day and bread all the time. And I never had like digestive issues, the classic. A lot of people have digestive issues first. They can feel the pain from it. I never had that.
Weight?
Oh, when I went carnivore, it just shut it off.
Yeah.
But it's funny. What's that?
I lost 70 pounds and I didn't realize that I needed to.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, that's super cool. Mine wasn't quite that extreme. I think I was like, my heaviest, I was like 210 or something, 205, like 6'1". So I was like chubby. I was never obese, but like my old pictures, I was soft for sure.
Yeah, like I'm 6 foot and I got to 200. And, I was in the car one day and it was hot and I was like sweating under my man boob. And I was like, bro, this is ridiculous. Like,
That's not
that's when I
ideal.
realized that, I was like, holy crap, I'm getting chunky. And, I didn't really do anything about it at that point. But when I saw the weight coming off so crazy, I was like, holy crap, I got down to 130 pounds at one point. I was like, what's going on here? So then I started adding more meat and more fat and more exercise. And now I've got to 140 with put on 10 pounds of muscle since then. So
yeah, it stabilizes once your body figures out how to process that. And I was going to add earlier how I mentioned I'm experimenting with more dairy just for the last what part of August, like 3 weeks roughly.
Mm-hmm.
And I do notice some negative things. I would say overall it's net negative. I can see a couple little acne on my forehead here that have been on a couple last episodes. I know that the last couple recordings I did, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what's going on here? Because I've even mentioned in the past, my skin is so good now, and this is like, man, I'm looking like a hypocrite now. These little zits popping up. I'm pretty sure it's the milk that I've been drinking.
So you're just drinking milk, or you're eating cheese too?
Cheese too, yeah. And I just felt like throw it in to see what happens because, I've always considered it like a treat, but we have raw milk right at the store here, so I've been drinking it daily, and I just think that I agree with Anthony Chafee on this one. He really just explains it as dairy is not ideal for adults. Right. It's made for babies to grow really fast. It has addictive properties in it, like you said. It's very addictive. I mean, I could chow down cheese all day. I could drink that. It's impossible to have like a half a glass of milk. There's no way. I want like a big glass. I want to chug some down.
Yeah.
It has that. I think the casein is what's the addictive part of it, if I remember correctly. But I mean, it's made for babies to taste that and say more, so they can grow really fast. And I really think that I don't know if I'll ever completely banish it from my life because I mean there are a couple downsides to it, but it tastes so delicious. Like I'll have a little bit of cheese now and then, a little bit of milk now and then. If I'm ever going for optimal, like 100% health, then I'm cutting it out for sure. Because like it just has small downsides to it. The only people I would really recommend looking at it as a possible option to get to them where they want to be is people who are trying to gain weight. Because I do have friends who are underweight trying to get bigger. I think that it's more interesting than as long as it's raw, because I think that the pasteurized milk is just, there's no good to it at all because it's had all of its goodness burned out of it basically. But I agree with you though. I think the Lion diet is the best starting place. People should just do Lion diet first and then experiment with these things if you want to, like I'm doing right now, and see how it works, and you'll learn things. Keep a journal.
Absolutely. Definitely keep a journal. And you'll know if you go on a 90-day or a 60-day or 30-day Lion diet, like you'll know right away if you start introducing anything, you'll know, like you can feel, it's crazy. Like it's insane how much, like I know what will happen to me if I eat something now. And before I would just I was sick and in pain all the time. So food never made me feel better. It only made me feel better mentally, especially cheese and sugar.
Exactly.
Like
anything that is not serving you, and that you shouldn't do it, but you continue doing it. I think that's the simple definition of addiction, and you need to really look at that seriously and honestly.
Yeah, heavy cream. Oh my God, I could just drink a half a gallon of heavy cream. Like, good God. Yeah, I miss it. It's tough. Some days are tougher than others. Okay, so here's one thing to tell people. No, this is not easy. I'll be honest, it's not. But what you get out of it makes it become easier and makes it become so worthwhile that you wouldn't have it any other way. So you don't care how hard it is. yourselves, and you don't care about the sacrifices that you have to make to live this lifestyle now, because nothing tastes as good as healthy feels, and that is my next tattoo.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And one thing I would add, probably just my take on that situation, is you're never going to completely forget the taste of those things that you used to eat.
Yeah.
I mean, when I see people all over, you know, just walking through public, people just having ice cream and, you know, big fruit bowls covered in honey and
Pizza.
candy, pizza. Oh, my, mac and cheese. I had so much mac and cheese growing up.
Mac and cheese.
These things, you'll always have a little bit of a memory of that taste there, and it will hit you like, oh man, that would taste really good right now. But the ease of managing that little gremlin on your shoulder, like scratching your back, telling you to just celebrate it, live a little, you know, it gets easier and easier to manage the longer
that guy shrinks and gets farther away.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Until its end game is like, it's tiny.
Right.
It's never going to completely go away, but it's so manageable that if you really care about your health, and you know, it's easy to keep pushed away.
Yeah, I mean, my coworkers bring in crazy food every day at the office that, you know, it smells so damn amazing, but, you know, I just look at them and laugh, and they all make fun of me. Every single one of them, they all make fun of me. Ah, you can't, you know. Cool. Okay, I get it, but
do they know your background, your story?
No, they know,
and they're still giving you shit. That sucks.
Yeah. You know, it is what it is. It's, you know, I got thick skin. I grew up in the Northeast.
That's wild. Yeah, I mean, they'll come around eventually if they continue doing what they're doing, and then they'll remember you like, oh shit, Lash told me about this. Like maybe I should actually look into that. And then they'll look you up and see that you've been on the big podcast, and they're like, damn, this guy's my old coworker was a legend. I didn't know it all this time. I was giving him shit. I should have listened. Right.
One of my best friends is he just made the big change, and since he made that change, he's just been doing amazing in life, and I'm so happy for him. And like, he's like, yeah, dude, I can't thank you enough. Like, just eating proper, how much difference it makes in, you know, your brain and how you feel and how you're more clear and connected. Yeah.
So, I think it is a great time to talk about this amazing project you have that you're working on, because you and I can both agree that the most important thing we can all do, especially guys like you and me who aren't fancy doctors or, you know, physicians, is to find creative, innovative ways to bring healing to as many people as we can. I have found that, you know, getting a podcast that I can spam out to everyone is how I can feel fulfilled in doing that, and writing blog posts and just engaging on social media, which you're doing as well. You have a very interesting new idea, and I want you to explain the Carnivore Healing Ranch. What is this project you're working on?
So this is my dream now. First of all, I want to get out of LA. Like, I'm done. I really, you know. Anyway, second of all, I want to get more close to nature as possible and as off-grid as possible. So having those goals in mind, I'm currently looking for a property where I can have some yurts or cabins or extra space where people can come, and it's going to be nonprofit. I want people to be able to come for a day, a week, a month, 3 months. Some people can't do this on their own. Some people are going to need help, and help like every day. This is not an easy thing to do on your own. So I want a place where I can guide people through the process of healing themselves. So basically, I want a ranch. I want some animals. I want some equestrian therapy on the property, which my mom, who lives in Costa Rica, would come and move back to the States, which would be amazing. I have friends that want to come in and help and do physical fitness training. They're like, I have a guy who's like a 6-degree black belt who wants to get on board and help. I have a guy who's an EMT who wants to get on and live on the property and help. So I'm building a team of people right now that have all the skill sets to handle anything that needs to be handled to take care of everyone's needs. I want a place to change people's lives. And if they can only come for the once-a-month seminar that I want to put on, then they come out for the weekend, because I plan on doing seminars once a month for the whole weekend. And then I'd like to have, places on the property where people can stay for extended periods of time. I plan on doing all the cooking for everyone. Over the last 2 years, I've become an amazing meat chef. I have so many people that want to get involved. I'm building a GoFundMe right now. I'm just trying to finalize it to where it will get the traction it needs. And so hopefully by the end of the month, that'll be live and I can start sharing it and start trying to reach this goal and get a place where people feel comfortable and safe to look, because this, most people with psoriatic arthritis, psoriasis, they're covered up and they don't want to show themselves, and they hide, and they need, a lot of them are going to need a place where they can feel comfortable being in their own skin, which is a damn mess, and it's not easy. So I want that space for people. I just want to change people's lives, and one way or another, I'm going to make this happen, and that's my focus.
There's already a Skin Walker Ranch, so now we get a Skin Healer Ranch.
I would love to go to Skinwalker Ranch for a week and with my camera gear.
Me too, man. I love that weird stuff.
I swear. Oh my God, that would be fun.
Oh, but man, that is just an amazing goal. I love that you're creating this thing, and I got dibs to come help build out the podcast studio, so people can come in and start sharing their story and hold each other accountable. Yes. Start YouTube channels to share their story.
All because part of the plan.
That's a huge thing too, is people just getting themselves out there and breaking out of this shell that they're in. Because like you said, when you have this issue, for example, the psoriasis, you literally feel like you're stuck in a shell physically. Yeah. And that permeates to your mentality too. You mentally feel stuck in your shell. Mm-hmm. So a good starting place is to get out there and, like you did and so many others do, take pictures of yourself at your worst and draw a line in the sand and say that I'm going to fix this thing. I'm going to figure this out.
I almost didn't have any pictures of myself. Because I was covered up, a lot of the times, even when, so I'm also a musician, and I would tell photographers when they were shooting me, when I'd be playing, dude, just make sure, don't post stuff where I'm all bloody or this, don't, please. But yeah. It's, people walk around in long sleeves and pants in the summer because they don't want people to see. And, a lot of times I didn't, and I wore shorts and tank tops, and I took shit, the craziest comments you would ever hear in your life from people. The worst shit ever. Stuff that just would make you go home and not leave your bed for 3 days. So yeah. I just want a safe place that people feel like, all right, I'm here. This guy doesn't give a shit about what I look like, and he's here to help me. Yeah.
I love it. And there's so many people out there. I'm sure there's some listening that just hear that and they resonate with it. So super cool. And just to confirm, you said the GoFundMe is not live yet, but it will be in the future.
Yeah, hopefully by
Okay.
the end of August. I'm just trying
Awesome.
to. I just want to make it like I'm a perfectionist, and
Mm-hmm.
I have
Same.
like writer's like block, and like it's. I just want to make it right,
Cool.
and I don't want to make it like. I've never asked anyone for anything really in my life, and I don't like having to do that. And for me to have to ask for what I'm about to have to ask for, it's nerve wracking. Honestly, I'm scared to put it out, but it's necessary, and I see it as my destiny at this point in my life. So
Yeah, and I think it's a beautiful one for sure. And you talked about being a musician and an artist and a photographer. I love that because I love photography as well. That's
sweet.
my passion in the background. It's sort of been on the back burner since I've gotten so deep into podcasting and writing and social media lately. But I would like to ask, how has that been affected by this diet change? I can only imagine it's completely changed things because I had a girl on recently named Erica, and her whole story revolved around she's a muralist. She
Yeah,
does
she's
art.
amazing.
Yeah, so you know
Yeah,
her.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and for her, the carnivore diet like just completely just upgraded her artistic abilities and her creativity and her ability to create cool art for the world. And I'm curious if you had a similar story.
So for me, for music, it it changed me in the way that I'm able to get through a set because I'm a percussionist. I play with my hands, and like my arthritis in my wrists and hands was bad. Um, so I would get off stage and literally just collapse after a 45-minute set, half hour set even. Now when we're done a set, I grab my heavy 60-pound congas and I run them off stage. Usually my band's like trying to get it all off for me because they know I can't do it. Now I'm grabbing them, running them off stage. I'm going out and talking to people. Like I would usually just go run, hide, and just be in pain and be completely introverted. Um, so yeah, I don't do that anymore. Now I'll go talk to people, and like that's all changed. As far as my photography, most of my photography is shooting live concerts, which puts me in crazy awkward body positions. And I used to like the last few years, I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like I just couldn't crouch down. My knees just, my back, my knees. And then even holding the camera, like my hand would just cramp up so bad that I couldn't hold on to the camera. These things, they're he's a big guy. Like, it's a lot of people don't realize this. You're holding this for a few 4 or 5, 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours sometimes. If I'm shooting a long
That's
festival.
a beefy lens right there.
But yeah, it's
I
80
usually use the nifty 50, so I usually have a light one. That's not a light one.
Yeah, no, that's a 50 is so nice and light. But yeah, I shoot a lot with this lens and this setup, and it's hard on my wrists and stuff. But yeah, now I don't feel it when I'm shooting. I'm out running around. I just shot Steven and Damian Marley the other night.
Oh, that's awesome.
No
Very cool.
issues there. Collie Buds a couple nights ago,
Oh,
like running
cool.
around. Like
Big ones.
no problems. I did a big thing recently with Ice Cube, which I can't mention, but soon. Yeah, that was like my goal I'd been working to with my photography, is to get what I got with him. So yeah, that comes out. I don't know when, but eventually. My biggest thing today. Yeah, so
That's
yeah,
awesome. I love to hear that.
I love it. I love photography. I've been shooting since I was 11 years old. Um, yeah.
These are the stories I love to hear, and they get me so excited because when people just solve these fundamental problems that are holding them down, like you had the skin issue, a lot of people have mental issues, some people have digestive issues. it's something for everyone. You know, everyone has something that's really holding them back, I feel like, because the world is so sick right now. It's almost impossible to find someone that doesn't have some issue that's really dragging them.
Mm-hmm.
And once you solve that first level of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and just people's brains just open up, and people are
Yeah.
allowed to do all these things that make humans so beautiful, and use our mind and use our creativity again. You know, you can't, when someone's in pain or sick, you can't tell them to go be an artist. You know, they've got much bigger problems to get through first. So
Yeah.
by getting the ground level of those needs met, beautiful things will happen everywhere that we can't even fathom. And
Right.
this is why I keep coming back to carnivore. Like, there's so many other interesting things out there in the world to me that I love exploring and posting about on social media, and I'm kind of all over the place all the time. You've probably seen it in my stories.
Yeah.
But I just keep coming back to this because all of these other things that we need to change and raise awareness against, they require a healthy population to be able to.
And a clear brain,
Yes, a clear brain and a critical thinking brain,
which is
and
gone.
motivation,
Right.
and women and men with healthy hormones. So we bring the divine feminine back for the women, we bring the divine masculine back for the men. So we actually have like a healthy working human population again.
Yeah.
And
And
from there, we can just launch all of these amazing improvements that we have and plan for the world, that us carnivores are just like kind of yelling about to the wind, because we're still a small group right now, but we're growing.
so yeah, I mean, I know back in many different times throughout history, you know, the only people who really ate the meat were the rich, and they gave the grains and all the crap to everyone else. Yeah, there was a reason for that, you know, and there's a reason why all these food companies are doing what they're doing and destroying everyone. There's a reason why all the drug companies are partnered with all the food companies and all the doctors and all of it, you know, they don't want people thinking as clear as we are right now. And oh God, man, could
When
you
we
imagine?
think clearly,
Could
they
you
lose money.
imagine if
It's that simple.
everyone had this clarity? Could you imagine? Like, yeah, like you said, like the entire world would be such a different, better, perfect situation. It's just everyone's in this damn fog, and I don't like. I feel like they're all just NPCs at this point. It's scary, and then to see kids that are obese, like children, like 6, 7, 8 years old. Like, what? How? How as a parent can you first of all like let that happen and not question that there's something? And you know what doctor are you taking your child to that says that, oh, it's probably just genetic or whatever they're telling him? What's going on? What's happening? Because it needs fixing, and this can help fix so much.
Absolutely. And,
Yeah.
and this is one of those fundamentals that needs to be solved. And I made a blog post recently, and this is a funny tie-in into one of the other things we talked about before we recorded, how my overarching crusade, my thesis that I'm trying to put out there, is that it's really a big three things that need
Mhm.
fixing. Carnivore is one of them, and just healing people's diet as a whole. And I believe carnivore is the best way to do that. The second one, I believe, is Bitcoin. And that's a whole rabbit hole in its own. But essentially, in a nutshell, the reason why so much garbage has been propagated into everyone's minds through all this propaganda we see in the media and the regulatory bodies and the government and the corporations is because of the fiat money printer, which gives them infinite money to just pump out to all of these, you know, horrible institutions that are just profiting off of this sickness and death.
Amen.
So we need that's like the Death Star is the money printer. And
Yeah.
that's where Bitcoin comes in. It replaces the money printer with a sound currency that follows math. So that's number two. And number three, this is one I had to throw in here. Number three is the communication side, which is solved by Nostr. And I've talked about this a few times on here, but this is another super funny random occurrence. I'm always scrolling through the introductions hashtag on there just to see the new people that are coming in. It's kind of the culture in Nostr is you go and say hello to all the new people that are joining. They write a little introductory paragraph. And I saw you pop up in there just a few weeks ago, just out of nowhere. Because I'd seen your story on the Carnivore channels, and there are very few carnivores that are on there. So I'm curious, how did you find Nostr, and what do you think so far?
I found it through your interview with Erica.
Nice. Amazing. I had no idea that was why. That's amazing.
And I was like, wow, that sounds cool. I'm going to join.
I love that. That. And what do you think about, I don't know how active you've been on there. I haven't kept super close watch.
I've been crazy busy lately, so I haven't been too active on there yet. I still trying to, like, I'm old. Yeah. I'm getting up there in age, so I'm still trying to learn it because it's different. It's a different setup. But yeah, no.
Well, that will be a killer place to talk about your Carnivore Healing Ranch project because, as I'm sure you know, how Nostr works is, well, let me give a broad overview for people that are maybe just hearing this first.
I'd love to get more info from you.
Yeah. And I'm no expert at explaining this. I would revert people to my podcast I did with Derek Ross. It was a while back, but he's like one of the top 5 most followed people on there. He's a developer, super smart guy. He explains it way better than I can. But my Nostr for Dummies would be actually just using our framework we started with. Number 1, we fix the health and diet for people through Carnivore. Number 2, we fix the money by getting rid of the money printer that propagates all that nonsense. Number 3, we fix the communication by giving people true free speech. And that is really what it comes down to. We need completely free speech. Anyone that thinks that we can have like a kind of free speech, a lot of people think they support free speech, but then they don't really. They flip-flop when they hear stuff that they don't like. But Nostr is a true free speech protocol. It's making it so social media runs on a protocol like an email does versus like Twitter does on a centralized platform. There's no CEO, there's no centralized developer team. It's completely open source. So in the way that the data runs through it is through relays, which are basically just a fancy way of saying the servers are dispersed. There's hundreds, maybe thousands of servers. I forget the exact number, but you can run your own server. Just like you can run your own Bitcoin node and be completely self-sovereign. You can have your own server where if every single other one bans you, you can still have your own. And if other people want to listen to what you're saying, they can connect to your relay. So there is no banning on this protocol. It's just a totally new and a fascinating, genius concept that it's so simple. Like, how did I not think of that? It basically took what makes Bitcoin work, where you replace the Federal Reserve with a decentralized node network. And this one is just replacing the single centralized server like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. And it's allowing anyone to run their own server. And it's just a big, web of all these people running interoperably. It's fascinating. But it also makes it so in the future there will be, so another terminology to remember is clients. Clients are like the actual user interface you use, the apps. So right now, most of the clients are just Twitter clones. There's Primal, which is the one I like, Amethyst if you're on Android, Damus if you're on iPhone. They're mostly just Twitter clones right now, but people are building Instagram clones where you can just like see people's pictures they're making and you scroll and it's just like an Instagram feed, but it's plugged into Nostr. There are people building YouTube replacements that are on Nostr. And so all of these platforms that we've come to know and love are going to have their Nostr version built in, and you're going to have your entire follower base stuck with you no matter which of these new apps you go to. So
nice.
So you don't need to keep starting from zero every time you go to a new app because everyone hates that. And it's just so. And by the way, this is where I was going to start with was Bitcoin integrated. People can send you Bitcoin on a Lightning network like that. It's called Zaps. You can literally press the little lightning button and send Satoshis to people. And it's set up in such a way so Primal, which is one of the clients I talked to, all the clients are in this free market where they can try new things, you know, and experiment. One of the things they recently added was showing the top zaps of a post transparently. So it's a little contest. If there's a big post that people really like, everyone wants to have the top zap on there. So it's like a feedback loop of people sending this person more and more Bitcoin. It's beautiful. And it just makes sense, you know, because people want to show that they're being generous. Like, it just brings everyone together in such an interesting way. And I really encourage people to go check it out. It's fascinating stuff. My interview with Derek, he goes really deep, and he is so much more intelligent about than I am. And I'm as bullish on Nostr as I am about Bitcoin, which I never thought I was going to say. It's just truly wild.
That's cool, because I was even my free speech was even held down on the free speech platform X, where I was thanking Dr. Sean Baker for something, and I was thanking Michaela for something, and because there was a picture of my skin, my previous body, they banned my thank yous because they said it was violent content, right? But as I'm scrolling, I saw a child's head split in half in the war, and I'm like, wait a second, I can't say thank you to the person who saved my life because I have a picture of my psoriasis skin, but yet you can post this shit and it's okay for people to look at that. So yeah, that platform really doesn't do it for me.
Anyone that says a centralized platform can be free speech because there's like a better leader at the helm is just not looking long-term enough and not understanding the incentives well enough, because it's just going to be words until you actually have a decentralized protocol-based system like Nostr. And you really just have to detach from this idea that there's going to be a better leader someday. And this is very common across so many different fields. People thinking that, oh, if I just get the right leader, everything's going to be fixed. It's not true. You need to fix how the whole system works, and just build it up from an open source, decentralized level in these examples. That's how you fix the problem. And that's why these things are so exciting. And you can feel the energy when you go in there. Like, there's no algorithm on it right now. Literally, as soon as the algorithm is stripped away, you realize, like, that's weird. I've been scrolling for the last 30 minutes and I feel happy. This is weird. Usually I'm just angry and pissed off at everything when I scroll on any social media platform, because they're designed to, get that negative emotions out of you, because those cause more engagement than positive emotions. Let alone like the news channels on TV, like those are even worse. Like all of these psychologists in these companies know that they need to make people angry, sad, more than anything else, because negative emotions keep people coming back for more.
And the standard American diet helps keep that fueled so well.
Yes. It all works together. All of those things work together.
Saying. It's such a big, damn, nasty, just evil circle that, a matrix of sorts, whatever. But I'm not in it. And I never, when I basically died at 17, I was told to be like Bob, and that's what I was told at that point. So I bought every book on Rastafari, on Bob Marley, on reggae, on everything. I bought every tape I could on reggae tape. I studied everything. It changed my life. I moved in with a Jamaican Rasta for the summer. Like, he taught me everything. It just, and it's funny that the Rastas, people think of them as, more like hippies or whatever, but they're more on this same level that the rest of the world should be on their thoughts on certain things, and that people realize they know what's up, and they taught me about the system, and they taught me how to separate myself from the system. So give the Rastas some respect, people.
I love it, man. Bring some over to the ranch. I'd love to meet him.
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh, we definitely got a couple that want to move on. So
Excellent,
yeah.
excellent. Lash, my man, I think this would be a great episode that we could wrap up, just over an hour here. I think that we've really covered a lot of bases, and I always like to take advantage of not just rambling on for an hour longer than I need to, especially for people who are looking for help with these things and just want a
Yeah.
quick little video. I think that's a great one. So why don't we wrap this up with just your message to the people out there, like you're talking, those that are having these issues, whether it be psoriasis, skin issues like you had, or any health issues that they just feel helpless about fixing and are looking for solutions.
So yeah, in my case, psoriasis, arthritis, depression, suicidal thoughts, chronic pain. Every one of those issues was, most of them were lifelong. Most of them were almost lifelong. Every one of them affected me on a daily basis in a really bad way. And every one of those issues are gone now. And the reason they're gone is because I just eat meat. I can't put it any simpler. It's the most miraculous thing in the world. It's hard, but it's easy at the same time, which is really weird, but you'll figure that out once you get to where I am. Just do it. Just take the chance. Do it for 5 days, 10 days, 20 days. Just try it. Try fasting. Reach out to me. Reach out to Ben. Reach out to anyone in this community. I literally talk to people 3 hours a day. I spend responding to people some days with questions, and it's been amazing. So yeah, reach out. There's people that are here to help you.
Beautifully said. Eat meat, buy Bitcoin, get on Nostr.
Yes.
Donate to the Carnivore Healing Ranch GoFundMe, which is coming soon.
Great.
For now, let's just get people plugged into your social so they can find you. I'll make sure to put them all in the show notes, but where are the best place that people can find your work?
So yeah, right now, Carnivore Healing Ranch on Instagram is the best place, because that's where I'm really focusing a lot of my efforts in the world. If you want to see some of my concert photography, it is Best Concert Photos on Instagram. And that's about as far as I want to go with socials. I don't even know what my name is on Nostr yet.
I'll just put your NPub in the bottom. Yeah. It goes by NPubs.
Throw that up there, because I want to get some people on there. I want to start using that more.
Yes, and I'll post on Nostr as well. I've been grinding on there, so I got a little bit of a following. I'm for sure going to shout you out and make sure we get you a boost. So
I'm more excited about it now after talking.
Yeah, and go to my Nostr playlist on YouTube too, because I've had some carnivore people come on, really tie those two together. Like
Perfect.
Dr. Fernando Morales, who's a great dude. He's also on Nostr. He's really big on a carnivore diet. He's a carnivore doctor from Mexico, which is like one of the only of that kind I've ever met. So yeah, it's gonna, like, the two are meant to be connected. Plus Bitcoin, like I said, the Bitcoin Nostr carnivore trifecta. That's what I'm gonna keep beating the drum on. I'm really excited for more people to check it out. So Lash, it has been just an absolute pleasure hearing your story and getting to know you, my friend. I'm so glad we got to do this today. And I look forward to following your story more, continuing to boost your message out there. And I can't wait to come see your ranch, man. I'm going to record a podcast there. I'm going to do it.
We're doing it, brother. I thank you so much for having me. It's been awesome. Let's definitely keep in touch, for sure.
Yes, for sure. We'll talk soon.
Yeah.